teachers, in the picture right there. And we had other teachers too, but those were our primary ones. So of course we wouldn't have done the retreat without them and without the teachings that they gave us and the instructions to go and do something like that. So it was extraordinary. I think for me it was definitely a sort of a once in a lifetime opportunity to do that, and to really try to practice what we learned. And that takes time with a lot of the practices. It's not something that you just sit down in a few days and you figure it out. Well, for me anyway, you sit there and a day goes by, and then weeks, and then months, and then eventually years start to go by. And what's beautiful about that in a long retreat is that you have that depth of time to be able to say, okay, this is what I'm drawn to, this is the practice I want to work at, this is what I want to do, and then you just keep sitting down and doing that, and you keep going more and more and more and deeper and deeper and deeper into that practice. And so that's the kind of thing that long retreat can do for you, and it enables you to get to a place that I think is perhaps a little bit difficult to reach if you're not in that environment. I don't think it's impossible, but I think it's definitely, long retreat gives you the advantage of that depth of time to be able to really hit it. Yeah, so we just thought, we didn't really know what was happening tonight or what we were supposed to really talk about or anything. We just sort of arrived, and I don't know, we just hope to share some of what that experience was like with you guys and answer a few questions and like that. Yeah. I think that I don't think that there's anyone who couldn't benefit from long retreat. Put it that way. Even, a so-called advanced practitioner or meditator or something like that, I mean, it can still benefit hugely from long retreat. And I think it's not a coincidence that a lot of the major figures in history, went into isolation and did that. And, there's definitely a power and an energy to doing that when you completely just sever yourself as much as you are able from the outside world to the best of your capacity, whatever that may be. And so, everybody's retreat looks a little bit different, I think. For example, I was advised by one of my heart teachers to, I had my dear old mum in New Zealand. She was 86, and I couldn't go into the retreat and not communicate with her and just completely sever myself from her like that. So I was told that it would be a good idea if I called her about every 4 to 5 weeks. So I did that throughout the retreat dutifully, mostly in the break periods. I'd get through the intense periods of practice and then we'd come into a break for about a month, and that would be when I would give her a call. And I don't regret that. It was very beautiful for me to do that and to be with her like that. So, that's, for somebody else in a long retreat, that would be absolutely unacceptable, and they wouldn't do that, and then for someone else again, they might do something different. So I think it looks different for everybody, and certainly time-wise, it's different for everyone too. I mean, long retreat for one person might be a month, could be 6 months, could be a year. we didn't even know how long we would go in for. There's this 3-year, 3-month, 3-day thing, which is the textbook Great Retreat, and we thought, gosh, maybe we'll last a year. We had hopes to do a year. Maybe we'll hit a year and a half or even 2 years, and so again, I think for everyone, it's not that you have to do 3 years. In my opinion, I think that you can benefit greatly from tucking yourself away, even just for a month. Frankly, away from
a weekend. It's good.
Yeah, it is. It is, and just to remove yourself from all this incredible energy and busyness and intensity that is this world that we live in now. And this is weird. We were watching a little clip on YouTube the other day, and then this pop-up thing came up, and it said, "Talk to friends while watching live TV with Skype on Xbox One as you make dinner," or something. I'm thinking, okay.
What that means.
You don't have that problem in retreat. You shouldn't have that problem in retreat. You may have other problems, but hopefully not that one. So retreat just gives you the platform or the forum by which you can then just come to focus on your practices. And that in and of itself is actually rather difficult, because your mind doesn't really want to at a point, and it starts fighting it and resisting it, or my mind did. I speak for my own mind. And but then you sort of figure out after a while, well, there ain't nothing else to do. This is it. This is what I signed up for. So best sit down on the cushion and get cracking again. And so it goes like that. But it's a beautiful journey. I used to get overwhelmed anytime I thought about the whole, sitting there and doing the whole thing. I'd be like, oh my God, we've still got another 2 years and 11 months. And then we just sort of fell into a rhythm, and the logic of our teachers, sort of the structure which we followed simultaneously as they were doing at Diamond Mountain was, sort of 1 month of deep practice, 1 month break. This was year 1. So 1 month on, 1 month off, 1 month on, 1 month off. And you really need the breaks. And then in year 2 we started to crank it a bit, and we were doing 2 months on, 1 month off, 2 months on, 1 month off. And then in year 3, I think the ultimate thing was like 3 months on, 1 month off. And we never hit that, did we? Yeah. It's we found a sort of a cumulative momentum of the practices. And also after about, maybe end of year 2, we started to get fatigued a little bit, right? We started to get tired. Yeah. And we found it hard to sustain practices and practically anything in the way that we had been able to in the first year. So there was a sort of peak at a point, and then you start to taper off, even within the context of the whole thing. So it's very interesting. It was a heck of a learning curve for both of us, and I don't regret any of it, not a second of it. It was an unbelievable experience. It felt at a point like it got to a point where it's like 1 week or a month in long retreat equaled like a decade in my normal life or something like that. It's hard to explain or to quantify that, and it still feels like that. So I don't know how you measure results like that, but anyway, so that's sort of like a little bit of a blab.
Yeah, the 3-year thing, I just remember always Lama Pelma. You know, Lama Pelma did the first 3-year retreat, and she's still in another one, her second one. And she told us that the first year, you're just like thinking, God, you know, what am I doing here? And trying to figure out what you're supposed to be doing and how you're supposed to be doing it. And then the second year, you finally come to bear on what you're doing there. And you get to you're sort of warmed up and juiced up enough that you know what's sexy for you and you know what you're going to do, you know, having tried all these different things. So then you zero in on that thing that's going to give you the juice. And you do that for the second year. She told us that, remember? She said the second year is going to be like that. And then the third year, you start coming out. So the first year you're trying to get in. The second year you're in. You're good. And then the third year, you're already, it's like finished. You know, now I need to start to come out. But possibly that's because you go in thinking, oh, you know, something like 3 years, right? But we didn't go in thinking that. We really didn't. You know, when our teacher came to see us, when we had been in 6 months, he said, how long are you guys going to do, you know? We said, well, what should we do, Lama? And he said, well, how long are you planning to stay? And we said, I don't know, 1.5 years, 2 years. You know, I think 2 years is my max. So he gave us a kind of a schedule, you know, to do for around that time frame. But it just seemed like it took that first year to get in. And then finally in year 2, right? It got really intense. Some of you know. It got very intense in the second year. And you know, the second year was the ball breaker, as they say. It was the ball breaker, and it was also the juice. It was the real juice. So that's how it went in that 3-year scheme, for me anyway. That's what it took, you know, from my mind. So having said all that, I'm at a yoga class at Open Door with Lydia, my very good friend Lydia, yesterday. And I'm talking to one of her students after the class, and she says, oh, she meditates for 10 minutes every morning. And I was saying, you know, that's amazing, you know. And she was saying how sometimes she tries to sit for half an hour, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, but she can always sit for 10 minutes. She can always sit perfectly still, you know, and bring her mind to a nice place of stillness for 10 minutes. And then she goes on to tell me that as a result of having been doing this 10-minute meditation every morning, I forget what she said, I think it was a year or 2 or something like that, and that now she felt that she could hold that space in the 11 hours and 50 other minutes of the day. And I'm like, I thought, I just got completely jealous. Because like I just took 3 years to do this. She's telling me she meditates 10 minutes a day. I'm like, tell me more. You know? So that's what it is, right? That's what it is when can you hold that clarity? Like, when can you not go back? At what point can you not go back? You know? So, you know, we came out of retreat and people ask us, oh, you know, what was it like? That's the hard question, you know? Like, can you be specific? What did you mean? Like, what was it? What was what like? What was what like, right? What was it like is not a good question for us. Because then we would need to have a lot of your time to tell us what it was like. So, as you know, if you have questions for us, try to be very specific about what you're curious about. But people say, you know, what was it like, or what did you gain from it is another big one, right? And we were saying in the car, you know, what's one word for what you gained from your retreat, in one word? And I thought of what the one word was, and then I said, well, what's the word for you? And he said the very word that I also had thought of, and that word was clarity. One word, just if it had to be one word, you know. But I answered it anyway. Well, this is not